Hello and welcome. You're watching Inside South Asia with me, Bhairavi Singh. Today we're bringing you the show from India's first open-air art Lodi district. Since 2015, over 50 renowned artists from India and abroad have come here to paint the walls. Over the last few years, it has become a popular tourist destination in the city and has carved a special space for several filmmakers and photographers. The murals even left Apple's CEO Tim Cook mesmerized when he was on a visit to India. I must say I'm quite impressed with the artwork here. Just like that, let's also get you all the top stories we're tracking from South Asia this week. India hosted the virtual SCO summit this week. Prime Minister Modi made a veiled attack on Pakistan over terror. But the more important newsmaker was President Putin. It was his first appearance since the Wagner mutiny, and he came out hard against Western sanctions. He said that Russia stands united in its fight in Ukraine. Take a look. In his first appearance at an international forum since the Wagner mutiny back home, the Russian President Vladimir Putin minced no words to condemn the Western sanctions at the SCO virtual summit meet. In a message of defiance, Putin asserted Russia was only getting stronger despite the provocations of the West. In an attempt to blunt sanctions, Putin backed trade accords between the SCO nations in local currencies, adding how more than 80% of trade between China and Russia was in rubles and yuan. Putin sought to project an image of strength and unity after the recent armed insurrection. His speech aimed at removing any doubts about his grip and authority over the nation. For India, which hosted the summit, it was a careful balancing act. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi did not mention the war in Ukraine or China's growing assertiveness in the Indo-Pacific in his address to the SCO virtual summit. India is walking a diplomatic tightrope on Ukraine even as it partners increasingly with the US over defense cooperation, and is seen by the US and West as a counter to China in Asia. However, Prime Minister Modi emphasized the common challenges the SCO members faced: food, fuel and fertilizers, and the need for SCO members to cooperate on cross-border terrorism in what could be seen as a veiled attack on Pakistan.
एक्सेलेंसी, आतंकवाद क्षेत्रीय एवं वैश्विक शांति के लिए प्रमुख खतरा बना हुआ है। हम चुनौती से निपटने के लिए निर्णायक कार्रवाई आवश्यक है। आतंकवाद चाहे किसी भी रूप में हो, किसी भी अभिव्यक्ति में हो, हमें इसके विरुद्ध मिलकर लड़ाई करनी होगी।
Tuesday's summit also provided an opportunity for the grouping to extend its reach, with Iran approved as a full member and a staunch Moscow ally Belarus taking a step towards gaining full membership. In his address to the summit, the Chinese leader Xi Jinping called for regional leaders to resist the influence of external forces in the region, language that alluded to what it claims are part of the overarching American policy. India announced that the summit would be virtual last month without going into reasons for the switch. To many, it's an attempt not to be drawn into taking sides and reducing chances of perceived optics. The SCO was founded at a summit in Shanghai in 2001 by the presidents of Russia, China, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. India and Pakistan became its permanent members in 2017. To another influential geopolitical bloc, apart from its present members, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, a string of other nations, including India's neighbour, Bangladesh, want to join the BRICS grouping. This is to increase their strategic relationships and economic benefit. Take a look.
June 2023. Foreign ministers of BRICS nations meet in Cape Town, South Africa, ahead of a summit meeting slated for August. And a big focus there this year is expected to be an expansion beyond BRICS. At least 20 other countries have applied for membership, an indication, experts say, of ongoing changes in the balance of world power. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar's tweet rings a bell. He terms BRICS an established figure of the global landscape, saying its message must permeate the world of multilateralism. Among those at the top of the BRICS considerations list will be Bangladesh. The process for its membership, say insiders, is already underway. Bangladesh had announced a big stress last year on expanding its economic borders and strengthening infrastructure development. BRICS provides an ideal platform to build multilateral relationships.
If we transacted 10% of our trade with BRICS countries, including China and India in their own currencies, it would reduce our dependence on the dollar. I think Bangladesh must join BRICS, a platform for South-South cooperation. And at the same time, Bangladesh's exports should be diversified, and a diversified market could be realized by joining BRICS. Besides this, more investment should be brought to Bangladesh from BRICS countries, which would help the country achieve economic growth and create employment.
Harnessing development financing options for Bangladesh that will come with becoming a part of BRICS Plus takes on added significance amid signs of a floundering economy. Its mainstay garment industry is past its heyday. Exports are down, forex reserves are at their lowest in 7 years. 2 successive dips in GDP growth rate and per capita income suggest onset of recession. Can entry into BRICS enable course correction? First up, Bangladesh's export basket will get a big boost as destinations for its products and homegrown foods. BRICS and its new development bank represents a potential source of financing and influence outside of fora dominated by Western norms. Then, being part of an increasingly influential group of developing economies Bangladesh expects will lead to greater foreign investment. It will also help diversify foreign relations and the currency. A geopolitical benefit could be increasing the country's economy and voice on the global stage, and possible entry of Gulf countries into the grouping will likely be an answer to Bangladesh's growing energy needs. At the crux of the argument, perhaps, is the view that BRICS has emerged as a new center of global South economic and political power, ready to take on North American and Western hegemonies. The expansion question then becomes crucial. Economically and strategically, the summit in August will likely shape the role BRICS plays in a rapidly changing world order.
Few religious pilgrimages worldwide generate the kind of adventure plus security concerns as well as political symbolism as the Amarnath Yatra to the cave shrine of the Hindu deity Shiva in the Himalayas. This year's 2-month event is underway with full fervour and spectacle. Take a look.
The chant to Lord Shiva as the first batch of pilgrims begin a 48-kilometer trek to the cave shrine from Pahalgam. This is one of 2 designated starting camps for the trek. Over 3 to 5 days of trudging uphill, besides an intensely scenic route, they'll see elaborate state arrangements, intense Indian Army security cordons, and plenty of adventure.
The yatra is progressing very smoothly, although those who choose to travel on foot to face certain challenges, the blessing of Bhole Baba at the journey's end make it worthwhile. I would like to request all the devotees who are in good health to undertake the pilgrimage on foot rather than using horses, as Bhole Baba beckons you to walk.
The pilgrimage opens once a year over 62 days of July and August, covering the Shravan month of the Hindu calendar. And beyond the religious ardor, physical and mental fitness are key. The 2 routes, one starting from Baltal to Sangam and onto the Amarnath cave, a distance of 14 kilometers in all. It is shorter, taking 1 or 2 days, but is the more difficult to cover terrain-wise. The second, more popular one is the one from Pahalgam via Chandanwari to Sangam and Amarnath. This one is 36 to 48 kilometers long and takes 3 to 5 days. But it's easier and more convenient for most. The route challenge is just one aspect of what makes the Amarnath Yatra stand out.
A Hindu pilgrimage in a Muslim-majority region, the politics around the Kashmir issue and the Kashmiri identity,
Security of the pilgrims in the backdrop of attacks and accidents frequently takes center stage. The India-Pakistan dimension and the Kashmir dispute adds to the security threat cloud. There's huge prestige at stake. The Indian Army monitors the pilgrimage routes 24/7. A multi-level security grid has anti-drone teams and bomb squads on alert. Quadcopters and night vision devices are in place. Every trekker pilgrim has a radio frequency ID for tracking. There's also the weather factor. Mountain and avalanche rescue teams are in place after a series of mock drills. There was a cloudburst and flash floods during the Yatra last year. Emergency helipads are ready to evacuate pilgrims in case of any emergency. 100-bed base hospitals have been set up at Baltal and Jandanwari. The Indian Army, the Jammu and Kashmir Police and paramilitary forces have a busy 2 months to come. Even till 1989, till Kashmir became the flashpoint it is today, the Amarnath pilgrimage used to be a low-key event. Security mobilization, the minority-majority debate and political prestige at stake now give the Amarnath Yatra new dimensions. More than a pilgrimage, there are far bigger stakes at work here.
In a landmark verdict, the Nepal Supreme Court has allowed the registration of same-sex marriages in Nepal. We take a look today at the LGBTQI rights across South Asia.
The 28th of June 1969, 54 years ago, the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in New York's Greenwich Village, became a flashpoint. The LGBTQ+ community members clashed with police after they were harassed during a raid. Before and during the 1960s, several laws in the United States prohibited public displays of sexuality. The legal landscape for the LGBTQ+ community has been constantly evolving since the 1969 uprising. More than 5 decades later, a milestone in Nepal. Same-sex couples can now register their marriages after the country's apex court issued a temporary order clearing the way for gay marriage, a landmark first in a largely conservative country. The Supreme Court has been considering a petition on the issue filed by gay rights activists. The court issued the interim order on the 28th of June, the iconic date of the LGBTQ+ movement. Surendra Pandey and his partner Maya Gurung said they were relieved to be able to finally register their marriage with the authorities. The couple got married 6 years ago at a temple following Hindu tradition, with a priest conducting the rituals among friends and family. They did not get any certificate then to show their marriage is legal. For them, finally, this ruling is a breath of fresh air.
We are so happy that the Nepalese authorities have shown this affection to us and are treating us like equal citizens of the country. It finally feels like we are getting treated somehow, like we are also people of this country.
Majority Hindu Nepal has become increasingly progressive since a decade-long Maoist rebellion ended in 2006. The country's constitution also explicitly states there can be no discrimination based on sexual orientation. Meet Sunil Babu Pant, an openly gay former parliamentarian who hailed the decision as a huge victory for all those who have been fighting for the cause.
At a personal level, for those who are, living together, it's a huge victory because practically they can register their marriage and then their rights immediately can be exercised by them.
For now, the Supreme Court ordered the government to establish a separate register of marriages for same-sex couples. It wasn't clear when the court would make a final decision on the case. As of now, Taiwan is the only country in Asia that recognizes gay marriage. Let's take a look at where the LGBTQ plus right stands in other South Asian countries. In 2018, a landmark judgment by the Supreme Court overturned a colonial-era law and decriminalized homosexuality in India. The court's verdict was a major milestone for the LGBTQ community. This year, India's top court began hearing arguments in favor of marriage equality for them. The Supreme Court termed it a matter of seminal importance for the country. 18 couples petitioned the Supreme Court to legalize same-sex marriage. After 10 days of hearing, the court reserved its verdict. A decision on this is awaited. Pakistan does not have civil rights laws to prohibit discrimination or harassment based on sexual orientation. LGBT matters have never been brought up in the political discourse. This year, Pakistan's Supreme Court ordered that transgender law is against all Islamic and cultural laws, and therefore transgender bill has been cancelled by the Pakistani government. Harassment, intimidation, persecution, violence, and the death penalty. That's the fate of any LGBTQ member in Afghanistan. Yahya, who identifies as a gay and non-conforming person, says he was brutally beaten by a Taliban guard after the Taliban takeover.
When they know about yourself, they definitely know that you have been involved in certain acts, and you identify yourself as a certain person. In this case, gay. So they will either throw you out from a tall building, that's their law. And now, in 1996, there were not a lot of tall buildings in Kabul, but now there are a lot of taller buildings. They'll just throw you out. If you became alive, that's you. Or they will throw a wall on you, that's their law. Or they will just shoot you, the easiest one.
Homosexuality is illegal under Bangladeshi law, which is inherited from the colonial British Indian government's Section 377 of 1860. Maldives. This is another Muslim country that has criminalized homosexuality. The Maldivian law prescribes criminal penalties for same-sex sexual conduct and relationships. The Penal Code of the Maldives works with Islamic Sharia law to punish any acts relating to homosexuality through fines, prison sentences, and lashings. LGBTQ tourists are generally welcomed at most tourist islands, resorts, and hotels, but are cautioned on public activity. Things are changing in Bhutan. Same-sex sexual activity was decriminalized in the Himalayan kingdom in 2021. Meet Tashi Chodin, the first openly homosexual person in the country and the first contestant to represent Bhutan at the Miss Universe competition.
When the whole journey to Miss Bhutan initially started, I was getting a lot of support from the LGBT community, but that was within Bhutan. But now having won the crown, I've been getting a lot of international support as well.
In Sri Lanka too, there is a new ray of hope for the gay and lesbian community. The country's apex court has given the green light to a bill seeking to decriminalize homosexuality, a move that is hailed as a historic development by campaigners.
That's all we have time for in this edition of Inside South Asia. But before we go, we're leaving you with visuals of the waterlogged paddy fields of Nepal. This is a unique way of Nepal celebrating the monsoon season. This is Nepal's Rice Festival. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. This is Bhairavi Singh signing off.
We celebrate this festival and have fun by wearing take-off mud, putting rice seedling on ears, playing in the mud, and eating beaten rice with yogurt.
The government should distribute fertilizers and other farm inputs in time for the farmers to reap the benefits. We are not asking for free. It can take money. We are not getting fertilizers even after paying the money.